Hello everyone! Welcome back. Valentine's is coming up and I want to treat myself to a cute new dress. So I went through my backlog of sewing patterns I downloaded at some point and never used. And I'm going to use one of those. It's from a website called Mood Sewciety that is linked to the fabric store Moodfabrics. All of their patterns are free and they have really cute fabrics. I'm not using any of their fabrics right now because I also am trying to get through a huge backlog of fabrics I once bought and have not used yet. So I'm gonna get into printing out the pattern and cutting it up and making it fit to my size. I might actually have to adjust it a little bit because I'm in between sizes. By the end of this video, I will also give like a tiny review of the pattern I made and how well I could work with it. As I said before, I think I would consider myself intermediate, so I will view it from that standpoint, but I would also give like a little idea how beginner friendly it is. That said, I'm really excited. So let's get going. The one I'll be making is this one. I don't think you can read it. It's called the Odette Lingerie Dress. I think I will adjust just the bra cups themselves, or like the bust area, so that it's not see-through. I don't think the fabric allows for that to happen, but better safe than sorry. Something I really like to do when I work with a pattern that is pattern coded instead of color coded, also because I usually print in black and white because it's cheaper and just doesn't use as much ink in as much different colors. I choose the size I want to make and I just highlight it either with a highlighter or any type of colorful pen, so that I know what lines need to line up. Since I do not have a lot of space right behind me, I'm gonna cut it in sections. So everything that belongs together and is approximately across two different sections, like section A and B, I'm going to do those first and then we'll continue on because we got to make it work. So a couple of things that I noticed with the pattern that just caught my eye right off the bat was, first of all, the amount of different sizes. It goes up to a 5XL, which is really nice. I don't know if it just elongates everything or if it actually accounts for a larger body figure. But the option is there, so I find that really, really cool. It also offers the option for a trimless attachment of the pattern pieces, which is explained. Essentially, you don't have to trim off the unprinted edges of the pattern and can attach it just like that. Either I'm too stupid or it doesn't really work the way they want it to. I might just not understand the instructions for that. Because it works partially, but it didn't work fully, so I'm confused by that. but it definitely gives you like it gives you tips on how to attach the pattern pieces and in what order to do so that you get the best lineup of the pattern lines. So those are things that I noticed, and I really enjoy the effort put into this. So what I also noticed about the pattern that I really liked, by the way, it's day 2. I look different. It's day 2. What I really liked about the pattern was that it had an included seam allowance, so I can just put it onto the fabric and cut it out straight away without having to sketch or mark an extra centimeter or so for seam allowance. Usually it's like a 1/4 inch if we are going off the metric system. Off the metric system. What I also noticed is that there are pieces of the pattern that are not, or pieces of the dress that are not in the pattern, but I found it on the back. Like I felt like I found it on the back of some of the pages. I really have to look into that. Maybe it gets clear through the instructions what's going on here, but as of right now, I'm very confused. I'll see you when I figured that one out, because I'm gonna look into the instructions now. Okay, so I think I got it. I looked at the pattern one more time and I read through all the instructions on the blog post on Mood Sewciety's website, blog, whatever you really want to call it. And aside from them also already from the very beginning stating, please, before you do anything, read through the instructions, it made a lot more sense. It is a very detailed description of what you have to do. I still got confused with some of the pictures, but there are a lot of pictures, so that's a good thing. I know what to do now, so we're gonna continue with that. Essentially what the point of it all is, the pattern itself, that paper stuff that I glued together with tape and everything, that is only for the main fabric, and the tulle or whatever else you want to use for the accents is squares and it's done by measurement. So you don't really need a pattern for it since it's just straight lines. I used my floor for all this fabric because my table is not big enough. I can sew on it, I cannot cut out all of the pieces. And while laying it out, I realized I think piece by piece, iron the entire fabric that I have because it has a lot of folds. Like it has a lot of wrinkles, a lot of fold lines that it came with. And in general, it wouldn't be that bad, but this is a lot. And also the fold line in the middle of the piece does not align with the edge. And I need the edges to be aligned to cut out perfect mirrored pieces or good mirrored pieces. So I hope I can explain that properly a little bit. So this line, the edge of the fabric, they need to align on the top and on the bottom. So this needs to perfectly align with the one on the bottom. They have to be aligned as best as possible. It doesn't really matter if it's not the same on this edge, but it has to be the same on this because of the way the threads are woven. That's the best I can explain it at the moment. I will start on a low setting because I don't know how my fabric will behave once I am trying to iron it. That's gonna be a test for now. I also pinned down the edges so they would stay on top of each other so that I will not mess up the new line I'm gonna make on this edge. Alright, so a low iron setting was perfectly fine for the fabric. It is a thin one. It usually is that way. If you have synthetic fabric or fibers in your fabric, always start with a lower one. With thicker fabrics, that might be a bit difficult. You could steam that, but that's also depending on how they react to water. Maybe not what you want to do. Just start low and work your way up on the temperature setting so you will not ruin the fabric, because we don't want to do that. Especially when you have vintage stuff, you don't know how fragile that is. So always keep that in mind when ironing anything. The pattern itself does not tell you how to put the pattern pieces on the fabric itself. That's how I chose to do it. I need to do the cup, this one, another time, I think just right below. And the two in the middle are supposed to be cut out twice mirrored. And the one on the edge are just gonna be cut on the fold one time. I love when there's seam allowance in the pattern already, because then I don't have to take care of that or have that in mind as well when laying out the pieces. Especially now that it doesn't tell you how to lay them out, which I don't really like that they don't do that, but it's okay. one more thing that I'm currently thinking of while cutting out all the rest of this is that you can, if you are worried about if you have enough fabric, especially if it's like fabric that you thrifted or something else like that, you can create new folds. So if you have to cut something on fold, like I have to do with this one, and you might worry that you do not have enough length. I do have enough length, but I thought I didn't. So what I did is I laid out the entire fabric in its entire width and then just created a new fold, just like folding this inwards. So now I have 2 folds for this piece. We've arrived at day 5. It is the 16th, I think. I'm not sure. Anyway, I did end up cutting out all the rest of the pieces yesterday on day 4, so that was very, very good. And now I am on my way to sew all the pieces together from the bodice. And I decided to do that with a French seam. I will show you how that's done. Basically, it looks wrong at first and you can get confused really quickly because you, instead of sewing the right sides facing, sew the left sides facing and then the right sides facing. So you get like these little pockets that automatically like clean up your edges on the inside. And I think especially with thin fabric or delicate pieces you want to make, that is a prettier finish than just doing a zigzag stitch. So that's what I'm gonna do today. I hope I get through so I can assemble the entire bodice at once, but I still have to go out and get some straps for them because they are supposed to, like the bodice is supposed to have elastic straps that go back, and I do not have those in the right color, so I need to get that. Yes, but that's where I'm at right now. Alright, as I said before, it can get confusing with a French seam. Just to prove, I got confused. And I will now rip this open. I think, honestly, it kind of is very forgiving as a fabric, so I'm not that concerned at the moment, but like, just proof that you can get confused, it's fine. You can fix it all. You just have to be willing to be patient and put in the time. Alright. It is day 6, but day 6 is not, as you would assume, I think the 17th at this point. Nope, it's the 23rd. There was a lot going on last week and I had a full weekend of work to do, which I'm happy about. I like to work. It's not that I don't. But that delayed all of this. But I'm sure that by the end of February, which is in a week, I will have a finished dress because it's going great and I've realized it's not as hard as I thought it would be. Saying that though, this is a screen recording of me scrolling across the blog post that is giving you all the instructions on how to sew that dress. And this particular shot right there is about how you sew the cups together so that it gets that lace trimming around it. And while doing it, that did not work out how I wanted it to. Or at least how they say it should. Like you can see the lace crosses and it doesn't give further instruction on that. It just says to sandwich that in between the 2 layers of the cups, like shown in the picture, which is right side up and the lace crossing and then right sides facing. How you would usually sew things together when you don't want the seam to be seen or the seam allowance to be seen on the outside. Normal thing. So I did it that way. And even though I thought I had enough lace trimming, and you can see in the picture as well that it sort of is longer than the actual side of the cup. Like, I don't know how I'm going to show you, but like you can see how it's just a little bit further up on that picture. And that didn't work. It was so bulky, even with cutting it back, it did not look good. And it also didn't look like the finished piece because the picture beneath that shows you how it's supposed to look then. And it doesn't seem like that part is attached. Like there is an open edge of the lace, which shouldn't be a problem. That's perfectly fine with certain laces. They do not have to have that because they do not fray. It's perfectly fine. But that didn't make sense with how they show you to sew it. So what I did, because everything has a solution, what I did is basically I put these in between like they're supposed to, but I did not make them overlap. I make them go outwards a bit on both sides. So you can see it here a little bit because it has a little wrinkle in it because I try to like pull it outward. And what that will do, and it worked with the other one, with the other cup as well, so I'm not saying stuff that doesn't work. At least for me it did work. What that does is create a cup that looks like this. This is wrinkly right now, but I ironed it, but I have to do it again. Basically, it gives you that finish that they show you. At least sort of. And yes. That being said, that's how I solved that, but I was really confused and it doesn't align with the picture. By the end of day 5, I also had all the lace and tulle pieces cut out to attach to the skirts, and I also finished the skirts and sewed these two together, not with its own challenges, because halfway through I noticed that the smaller skirt or the overskirt was sewn together incorrectly and therefore was not usable. And I had tried to trim it away so much that I basically ruined the entire overskirt. And I was so thankful that I still had fabric left. So I cut out the pieces that were missing one more time, or the pieces that I ruined one more time. And by the end of it, I had a skirt that was way too long for me. Like I was dragging the bottom of the lace across the floor, and I had to shorten that multiple times. So what you see here is me seam ripping both the lace and the tulle multiple times. This is not the first time I did it, to match my height and also look nice and show the main fabric a little bit better. Going into day 6, I actually then attached all of the elastics and the bodice to the skirts, and at night, when I should already be asleep, I finished the Valentine's dress, and here's the result. It is now, I think, 11 p.m. on the 3rd of March. So deadline massively missed, but I'm really happy with it, to be honest. I opted for leaving out the tulle that was supposed to go here because I didn't think I really needed it. Also, I hope you can see that. I don't really know if you can. They are too big for me in every way possible, and I try to just get them to be closer so that I would not have an accident. That being said, I think I could have maybe sized down, to be honest, but according to the measurements on the pattern itself, large would have been my size. So I'm a bit confused about that. I do believe it could have worked in a size smaller. Even though I do not have stretchy material at all. It's cut that big, essentially, so you can cinch it in with elastics. Elastics like these, or like these. And my overall review of this for a free resource is absolutely a 9 out of 10. Like, it is so cute. It's just so romantic and has such a detailed has such a detailed like blog post about it, telling you what to do with pictures. That's really, really cool. Other than that, the size is weird. I don't really get that. And if you do not read through the entire instructions before doing it, you will get confused along the way. I have spent so much time seam ripping the skirt and everything to alter it also to my height, because I do believe the original designer is a bit taller than me. Because I'm a tiny being. Actually, I'm not. I think in certain areas I'm even above the average. I'm 5'6", so I'm completely average regards to that. I really don't know. But I shortened the bigger skirt or the underskirt of the dress quite a bit. I might have not cut the tulle or lace to size, to be honest. It could have been that was a mistake on my part. But if you want to try it out, I think you could. Maybe not as a total beginner, but most definitely as somebody that has 1 or 2 projects under their belt. And yeah, that's where I'm going to leave you at. And I'm going to see you in the next one. Bye!